Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers about hikers for everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning.
Welcome to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast with the spotlight on section hikers.
And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. You are listening to Jester Section Hiker, the premier podcast with the spotlight on section hikers, and I'm your host, Julie Jester Gayhart. For this week's episode, I turn the attention back to a name that if you've been listening for a while, you will recognize, Kris Sherpa Fowler. Kris went missing on the PCT in October of 2016 and is yet to be found. Over the last several months, you have heard me talk about Kris and how his mother is a close family friend of my younger sister. Most recently, I had on the podcast Cathy Tarr, who is the executive director of the Fowler-O'Sullivan Foundation, which is partially named after Kris. If you have not heard that episode, I highly recommend you going back and listening to that show, which is episode number 66. So today, I bring you my sister, Terri Kidder, and Kris's mother, Sally Guyton Fowler. As you will hear, we were outside and the wind chimes on Sally's deck seemed to ring just at the right time when Sally was speaking about Kris. Coincidence? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that. All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You guys heard my intro, but I am going to set the stage for you. I don't even know if I can set the stage properly. We are at Sally Guyton Fowler's home. Thank you, Sally, for inviting me over to interview you. And we are sitting out on Sally's deck. It is the most amazing, colorful deck I think I've ever seen. And I'm also here with my little sister, Terri Kidder. And as you guys heard in the intro, I've spoken about Kris Sherpa Fowler several times, had Cathy Tarr on, the executive director of the Fowler-O'Sullivan Foundation. And a couple days ago, when I found out I was going to be coming and visiting in Ohio, I reached out to Sally and asked her if I could stop by and finally meet in person. And here we are. So, Terri, welcome to the podcast, my sister for the first time.
Hey, thank you.
Yay. And Sally, it is such an honor to have you on and to be here in person. Welcome.
It's my welcome. Thank you. It's my honor to meet you guys. Thank you for all you have done and are doing.
And I will say that another thing is Sally said, oh, well, we'll just have a couple drinks and, maybe a chicken sandwich. And
that's how we're doing.
That's the minimal that we're getting ready to partake in here. So it is I'm going to call it an afternoon barbecue party.
Paradise on the deck.
That's right. It is a paradise on the deck.
At the Oasis.
And happy Oasis. And we're going to get to it. And we're going to start with Terri, because you guys have heard me explain how I know Kris or Sherpa is through my little sister, because Terri and Sally are really, really good friends. And Terri is actually the one that came over here to Sally's house the night, I guess, that you guys really recognized and felt something was wrong and something was going on with Kris. So I'd like for Terri to kind of explain kind of what happened that evening, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah. First of all, I wish y'all could be out in the Oasis, because I would so much rather be able to set the steam. But nonetheless, I have to take it back in the Wayback Machine a little bit. A couple months prior, we had a girl day out here. Well, Sally and I have been friends for several years, many years actually. We had a girl day, and we were swimming in the pool, hanging out, having some beverages, and Sally had mentioned that she hadn't heard from Kris. And it was a couple weeks, I think, and you were concerned. And it was just this, I think that was the June prior. And it wasn't atypical for you to not hear from him for some time, because he's a grown man, and you kept saying, right. And she just kept saying to us that exact day, something's off, something's not right, I haven't heard from him. Lo and behold, he did reach out. It was a long time. You kind of gave him an adult whipping, and said, listen, from here forward.
No, he gave me the whipping.
He gave her the whipping, sorry. Okay, Sally, I'm a grown man. But I think they kind of made a pact at that point, and Sally said, listen, I need to hear from you more than just, once a month. And I don't remember if it was once a week, every 2 weeks. I need to hear from you every 2 weeks. And it was kind of a pact, and Kris, said, yeah, I get that. And once you knew he was kind of safe and sound, that he's a wanderer and a gypsy and out there doing his own thing, and photos and friends and all of that. So
everything that goes along with hiking.
Everything that goes along with that, right?
Living the dream out on the Pacific Crest Trail.
Exactly.
And this was June-ish?
June-ish.
Okay.
Yes.
Early June.
Yeah. So, but prior to that, in the same year as.
So 2016. So,
2016.
Months go by, you make this pact, and, here we are in October, and it was Halloween. So, Halloween 2016, tell us what's going on.
So Halloween 2016, and we talked about this, and I was trying to rattle my brain exactly how it happened. Sally put a post out on Facebook, and I happened to be on Facebook, and she said, I need someone to come over and help pass out candy for trick or treat. Well, I have my own, child at that time, but we took him over to friends, and he, did that. And I responded to the post on Facebook, and I said, I'll come help, no problem. My son's going with his friends.
First, you thought it was a joke.
Well, I thought it was a joke, because I know it's a Halloween and trick or treat around here is a big deal at Sally's house. She dresses up. She gets hundreds of kids. I mean, it's a whole to do. Of course she does. Have you seen the outdoor Oasis?
They will on the pictures.
So now Halloween's a big deal. But I responded and said, yes, I'll be there. And I didn't realize exactly why. I can't recall if you then texted me and said, hey,
you said, I'm serious.
I'm serious. I really need you. Well, I'm thinking she's not feeling well. I had no idea. And so a couple hours goes by. I come over and sort of walk into the world crashing down on her. And I didn't know, what I was going to be walking into, because it's not like you disclose the information. You didn't exactly know the severity of it until that day, really, and maybe a couple days prior.
So from a family perspective, I think you reached out to me and said, oh my God, do you know anybody hiking the Pacific Crest Trail?
Yes.
Do you know anybody we can get a hold of? The hiking community, when something goes wrong, I mean, it's immediate. We all band together. And I think you've learned that, Sally. Like,
So amazing.
So now, we've really set the stage, and you guys are hearing from people that I've been talking about on the podcast. So now I kind of want to, turn it over to Sally, and I just want to chat with Sally and kind of, where were you then? I know you've been through hell. I mean, that's the only way to say it. And I asked Sally if there was, anything emotionally she did not want to talk about, and I think we're good. I'm not going to ask anything out of the ordinary, but you pointed to your gut earlier when Terri was talking. In August, did you have a gut feeling?
June.
Or June, you had a gut feeling, and then what happened in October? So kind of take us through your perspective as Kris's mom. First of all, I cannot even imagine. I just cannot, and I've said that so many times, I cannot even imagine. I don't know if something comes over you where you just kind of have to get through what you have to get through. So take us from October, just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I just want to touch on June just really quickly, because in June, when I didn't think he was, when I felt something, like there was a problem, and I called where he had supposedly picked up his last package and where he was and he had picked it up. The next place he was supposed to pick it up, he hadn't picked it up, and the following place he hadn't picked it up. So I felt like there was something wrong because he was due at this place and I had sent a package there and I hadn't heard from him. So I left a message, have him call. They wrote down Mom, have him call Mom. And so when he got there and saw these messages, he called and he said, hey, this, I love you. You're my mom. I'm a grown-ass man, and I know you'll always find me, but don't be tracking me down. I'm out here trying to do my thing.
Right.
And I was a little taken back, and I just said, okay.
Well, just so you know, from a hiker perspective, that's not unusual.
I totally get it.
But I think what I want to get out there is the way we talk on the trail. It's unusual to the family.
It's unusual. We're in Ohio. We go to John Bryan for an afternoon and hike, and we come home. And there's other people in Ohio that do overnight trips and backpacking, things like that. So it's not, but it's a different
you have
animal.
Hocking Hills, you got the Buckeye Trail,
it's
but
just a different. It's not the Pacific Crest Trail.
It's not the Pacific Crest Trail.
I didn't even know what it was, and honestly, I didn't know what it was. And so anyway, we made the deal right then and there. Okay, fine, I won't, but you have to call me every 2 weeks, because if not, I'm doing my thing. And he said, okay, I know you will. And if I ever did go missing, I know you'd find me.
Wow, you actually had that conversation.
He just said it. It was really probably in jest. However, his whole teenage life, I could always find him.
Yeah.
And that's what he was pointing out, yeah. And so anyway, on to October, I didn't have as bad a feeling about him as his dad did. I didn't have that gut feeling about him, something going wrong in mid-October. His dad did. His dad hadn't heard from him, and he called me and said, have you heard from Kris? Because we used to share our information. I said, not since September 30th, but it's not 14 days yet, so nothing to worry about, I didn't think. Again, no clue what it's like in where he's at, just clueless.
Right.
And so I hadn't heard from him, and his dad again a couple days later. So I did a little Facebook investigation, and I looked up the lady friend, Amber, he had been hiking with off and on, and I looked her name up. I knew she'd gotten off the trail. I looked her up on Facebook, and I sent her a message and asked her if she'd talk to Kris, and she replied back quickly that this was about October 14th. And it might even have been, it's October 14th. She said, yeah, I just heard from him.
So 2 days prior.
No, it was October 12th. She said, I heard from him today.
So 4 days prior to his official mission.
She had
date.
heard from him, so I'm good.
Yeah.
So then a couple days go by, and she said, I haven't heard from him. Maybe it was the 14th. However, it went down. She hadn't heard from him at that point, and now she was starting to get worried because he wasn't replying and responding, and he had said he was going to reach out. And so it just kind of went from there, and Mike was a little more worried. And finally, I started becoming more worried into the days in the 20s of October, and then we started making phone calls, and then on Halloween Day, it was a Monday, and coming off of that weekend of spending some time personally with Mike, talking about it, and him doing his thing.
And Mike is his father?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mike, we split it up. He said, I'll call the police, and I said, I'll call the all the locations of him sending his packages. And so he was doing that, and I was doing my thing. Neither one of us were coming up with anything. In fact, he was meeting roadblock after roadblock. And so that Monday, October 31st, is when it
all hell broke loose.
It just became really clear that there was an issue. That was an issue, because other people I was talking to in Washington felt it was an issue. And it became an issue. And when Terri came over, and then my friend Marcia came over, that's about the same time as Terri was here to take care of me. And then my brother walked in and said, he's good friends with Mike also. And he said, my brother Rick, and he said, I think you need to go out there, and I'll go with you. We need to go. Let's go.
So how soon was it that you were out to Washington?
Tomorrow, the next day.
Oh, the next day.
Next day.
So when you got to Washington...
She was trying to book flights.
You were trying to... Okay.
Marcia ended up booking our flights because I just couldn't... My friend Marcia...
Couldn't do it.
I just...
Well, I don't know how you functioned at all. So, I mean, so here you book these flights, you get out there, and there's one thing, I will never forget this. And Cathy Tarr said this when I interviewed her.
She's awesome.
She said, how you're found depends on where you go missing. I'm going to say that again. How you are found depends on where you go missing. Jurisdictions,
pretty profound.
Sheriff, National Forest.
I know exactly what she means.
And as hikers, I never thought about that before. Well, you don't think about going missing. Families don't think about their hiker out there going missing. That is unbelievable to me. And then, like I said, the sheriff, the jurisdictions, the National Forest, where do we think he was? So how many people did you actually have to contact to get something going? I mean, it's probably...
I only contacted one.
You can give us a rough estimate of how you think this rolled out.
So Mike talked to 4 or 5 counties, and each one, in their defense, it's hard to, nobody wants to take ownership of where they were last seen or where they've for sure gone missing, because now it becomes their
case.
This is my opinion. Yeah. Now it becomes their case to launch the search and rescue, to take on the expense. Not that that's top on their list, but it's probably in there. Everybody has to think about it, and just where to look. So as he was calling county to county and nobody was calling him back, and he was becoming very frustrated, I was in the meantime calling individuals along the way, trail angels, and one person would give me another person's name, and I was meeting all these amazing people that I'm still in contact with today, because I'm talking to the hiker community, and Mike's having a whole new avenue with law enforcement. So he's, I'm talking to all these people that want to help, and he's talking to people that...
Well, let's get clear, too. You did not know the phenomenon that I call, that I'm involved, the hiker community.
No, I did not. No.
And
it is a phenomenon.
We're family. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're on PCT, right, Appalachian Trail, here at home on the Buckeye Trail. When
it became clear
it's
quickly.
Serious business.
It was very serious, very quickly. I talked to Andrea at Stehekin, who's no longer with us, who was an amazing trail angel. I can't remember now, daggone it, the name of her, Hiker Haven, I think it was. She was one of the last stops before I talked to her, and we became, frequent chatters. And she was an amazing person to the hikers for years. She's since passed away. And then Ravensong, Carolyn Burkhart Ravensong, she's a legend on the PCT, became very good friends with her, talking to her. Just amazing people that I talked to, and each person I spoke with, a guy named Kris, and some Morgan, I ended up talking to Morgan Clements, and each person I spoke with started their own chain of phone calls. In the meantime, Mike is talking to law enforcement, and nobody's calling him back. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. He started calling people on a Wednesday or Thursday, and by Monday nobody had called him. So I only made one call, and it was to Sergeant Briscoe because that's where Mike said he was supposed to hear back from them, and the last place Kris was, he found out, was considered Yakima County.
Okay, so Yakima County, leading into Sergeant Briscoe, he has recently retired.
Yes, he has.
As a sheriff. I saw that on, I don't know if it was on Instagram or Facebook. But he did everything he could to help you guys, from what I can gather.
Yeah, very fortunate to have him on the case. And the way Washington handles it versus the way California handles it is just like night and day. And I can't speak personally to California other than what I've heard from families of missing people that are there. They don't get the cooperation. They don't get the feedback from law enforcement. They don't get the answers. Now, granted, it took us a minute to get rolling, and I think that's typical in a lot of missing cases. But once I coined that relationship with Sergeant Briscoe, which my family did, he and Kittitas County and the other counties, so many other counties, were very forthcoming with what they knew, what they didn't know, what they would find, communication-wise, phone numbers. I had people's cell phone numbers. They were amazing. We would share information, and they accepted what I had to tell them, and then they realized we were just a regular, normal, normal family.
Yeah. And then
just loved our son, and we were just looking.
Too.
Yeah, we were just wanting to find our son, and they realized. I think a lot of them just put themselves in our positions, and they were really just very forthcoming and shared a lot, even though they may not have found Kris and they may not, that wasn't happening, but they were sharing information, and they don't get that everywhere else.
Right.
I can only speak to what I have, and from what I've shared with other families, very fortunate.
Very, 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 very.
And
Kathy talked about that on the podcast,
she couldn't believe what stuff I would tell her.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back to Terri, because it's about families. And we're holding our drinks up, cheering, or
Red
toasting,
cup. Cheers.
not
Red
cheering.
cup.
Cheers. So I'm going to have Terri get the mic back real quick. So you being over there in October, and it's been 5 years. I mean, Kris is, I know, unbelievable.
Crazy to think about.
I mean, I don't think there's a day go by that I don't think about Kris, just the truth be told. So from your perspective, Terri, you have a sister that's a very avid hiker and goes out all the time. And now, one of your
She
best...
has already told me stories.
One of your best friends, her son is still considered, an active missing person.
It's a very active case.
What is that? What is it like on your end? How do you feel about that? That's a tough question, I know.
That's a really tough question, because immediately you go into, well, who doesn't go into, man, that could be my sister.
Yeah.
So
from a family perspective, from your end, what can we do? What can I do to ease your mind as a hiker?
Well, one of the things that you have done.
There's Kris right there. You hear that?
Did you guys hear
the wind
that?
chimes.
He's like,
what do you want me to say, Kris? Because I got you. He's like, leave me alone, y'all.
grown-ass man.
So what does that make you think?
Wild.
That was wild. That was wild. So what does that make you think?
I will say one of the things that you have always, you've had that spot
device.
Sometimes I have actually been the point of contact on that spot device, knowing, and you've been very good at communicating what that means, what's going to come through, what it means if, this notification comes through, that notification comes through. And I've kind of always taken a little solace in that, knowing that you've had that, because when you're thinking about this from a non-hiker perspective, because y'all, I go to the local metro park, and I call it hiking, but however, knowing and having that, and that's precisely what the Fowler-O'Sullivan Foundation is about, is the the safety and
education
and all of the things that brings, because I think what happens is, from an outsider's perspective, hikers can become jaded to that. Those of us sitting out here, because we don't understand, and you just assume you're going to be safe and all of that, and you're taking all the precautions, and so sort of like Kris was kind of like, I'm grown, I'm fine, it's fine, everything's fine, like, stop worrying about it. So yeah, that is a hard question, because sheesh, nobody thinks unfortunate things are going to happen to them. Nobody thinks that.
No.
Nobody wants.
You even told me that could be my sister.
Yeah, absolutely. And immediately, that day I was, on the phone with you and said, look, I need you to gather the troops. Something's happening. I can't recall if at that point you had the Facebook group yet or no.
Yeah. So yeah, we can turn to that.
Oh gosh, we're gonna. Did I answer the question? I hope so.
Yes.
It can be.
Did.
It can be worrisome. So check in with your people. Whatever.
And, when you're hiking, the old saying, "No news is good news," that doesn't apply.
That does not apply. Yeah. So.
And I have to think about that, because I was that hiker. Leave me alone. I'm going hiking.
And that's what I mean by jaded.
Yeah.
That you're just out there doing it, and you're, doing your thing. And and when you're hiking, I do know you're in this mental zone, because that takes a lot of strength. And you're in that mental zone, and you know where you need to be to accomplish whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, Kris had a goal, a huge goal.
Yeah.
And dates and strategies and all this planned out.
And obviously hiker boxes, so he was getting stuff sent to him.
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of pre-planning. And
so you're not thinking about, because you're in this mental zone, you're not thinking about what we're thinking about. So.
And one of the things that I want to come out of our conversation is hikers need to think about everything, especially when you're going to go for months, or even a couple, 2-3 week section hike. You can get in trouble on a section hike too. And I'm going to go back again. I keep bringing Cathy Tarr up. She said the most dangerous hiker is a day hiker. Someone that thinks they're going to go out for the day and they're not prepared.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I always want to do with this podcast is always give information and education.
I agree.
So, all right, we're sharing, Sally and Terri are sharing mics here.
Mic.
So, fast forward, here we are. It is June, 2021. And I'll give the listeners some information. This is ongoing. No one has, there's various things. People are still looking for Kris. It's not stopped. There's other stuff going on that we can't talk about on the podcast. But what I want to ask Sally is, and I don't know, we might get emotional about this, Sally, so.
It's always a chance.
I don't know how you do it, and I don't know how you're getting through it. And if you're comfortable, how are you doing it? And how are you?
I get asked that all the time, and I don't know. It's not something you plan for, but my family laughs a lot. We laugh at the dark stuff, through the dark stuff. We laugh when you're supposed to and when you're not supposed to, and we can laugh and cry in the same sentence, all of us. So I brought Kris up to be, I was trying to make him be, a man that can fend for himself and that wouldn't drive women crazy and take care of himself and that kind of thing. That's what I want all mothers to do. This whole new breed of man. And I wanted him to be, laugh. I wanted him to laugh, and I wanted him to live, and he was doing that again, finally. And I guess I put myself in the position that, and other people have told me this, and he wouldn't want me to stop living. That'd be a disgrace to what he was doing. And though that is merely an excuse to help you get through whatever day you're going through, but it's the truth. And I don't know. Don't think I don't have meltdowns. I do. I could be alone. I could be with people. It could be out of the blue. It could be during a TV show. It could be during a song. It could be in the middle of a laughter. It just, it happens. It's, and I think it's typical. But I'm no expert at this. I'm no better than anybody else at it. It's just that I really would not want Kris to stop living if something happened to me. And I've had a lot of loss in my life with parents and other things like that.
That was Jack the dog. We're good. It's good.
No, it's because somebody's here.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And thank you. So I'm not sure. That's just how it is. I just want him to. I would want him to laugh and go on, and so I tell myself that's what I'm going to do. Again, it's not every day is laughter, but I have a busy job. Busy job helps get me through it. I stay very busy with my job, and just trying to stay with normal what I was doing before, as the new normal, as what I was doing before. But another thing that helps me out, so for a while I was looking at, I often look at Kris's pictures, and that's when I miss him the most, and it's good and it's bad when you look at him, and, he was this just devilishly handsome kid who...
He was. I carry his bandana with me.
Oh, it drove me crazy.
And I looked at that bandana last night, and I was like, God, he was a hiker.
Oh, my God.
I mean, he
I've been fighting women off of him since he was 12, so it's a true story, isn't it? And anyway, I don't even know where I was going. Oh, so I would look at his pictures, and then there's a page called Washington Hikers and Climbers Facebook group, and they post the most phenomenal photos on that page, and it's a lot of positivity on that page, and it's the hikers, and it's literally what it says it is. And one day it was a flood of emotion came over me, and I was just like became so at peace that Kris was surrounded by this beauty. I mean, the pictures these people post are amazing, and that's what Kris wanted to see. He was hoping, not only did he take it in for himself, but he used to say to me, I wonder if anybody else saw that, what I saw today. I wonder if anybody else has ever seen that. That's amazing that I might have seen something that somebody else has never seen, or at least I used to tell him, they've never seen it. Well, they've never seen it through your eyes, even if they did. So, and he had such an amazing eye with his camera. He was an amateur photographer, and he used to take amazing pictures. So he loved all of that, and that's one of the reasons he didn't want to hike or hitchhike around Washington, even though he knew it was a storm. He had specifically he wanted to hike every inch of Washington because he knew it was going to be gorgeous, and he wanted to see every inch of it. And
I feel like he and I would have been pretty good friends out on the trail.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt. No doubt, none. And I just found comfort one day. It's amazing comfort that came to me that he's surrounded by this beauty. And I continue to look at that page. It's just, I don't comment as much as I used to tell every now and then. I tell somebody it's beautiful, but it's, I just look at it all the time. And the hikers that are on that page are, there's I think it's tens of thousands of people follow that page. And to me, it's amazing because they hike in those mountains like I walk to the mailbox, which is an effort some days. Yeah. And they're going up in these massive hikes like it's nothing. Hey, gonna go hike 15,000 feet today and take some pictures.
Well, I have to tell you,
I'm going to try and walk out to the mailbox
and go without limping. So you don't know this story, and the listeners don't know this story. Stephanie knows this story. So back in 2019, me and a couple girlfriends, we went to hike the Wonderland Trail. And Sally, you sent me a bandana with Kris on it, and it has his name on it, and I've been carrying it on every single hike, whether I hike across the street or go on a big hike. And we were driving in Mount Rainier National Park, and I knew kind of roundabout, the area where Kris went missing, and just the names, but I'm not familiar with the PCT like I am the Appalachian Trail. And we took a wrong turn. We were on the main road there at Mount Rainier National Park, and we ended off of the main road. And I said, stop the car, everyone get out. It was the pass where you guys ended up searching that same year in August
Oh,
I can't remember. Chinook Pass.
Chinook Pass. Mm-hmm.
And I said, get out. I took that bandana, I went up there, and I was just oh my God, this is where they're going to be searching for him.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It was gorgeous. Mm-hmm. It was one of the most phenomenal, gorgeous places I've ever been. And the only reason we saw that is because we took a wrong turn. That was not our intention. So his spirit is out there, if anything.
I agree.
So, and here I'm going to get emotional.
I agree. Well, when we were out there, so it was Cathy Tarr, myself and Andy, my friend Marcia, and Marcia Meyer, O'Rourke, and then Teresa Sturkey. For some reason, I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. And these 5, they're incredible women, and they were out there for Kris's search. And we had spent some time in Packwood that day, and we wanted to go to White Pass together. So we went to White Pass, and when I was out there in 2016, we went to White Pass, but the person we were with, we didn't get out of the cars. She drove in, she showed us, we drove out, and my brother and I always regretted that we didn't get out. He later went back, but anyway, so we go out, and we get out of the car. Now, keep in mind, I'd been in Packwood all day, hadn't had a signal, couldn't text anybody, couldn't call, couldn't check, nothing. And I had all these people that were coming to town to search that I was trying to meet up with, so it was like gridlock. It was crazy. And so we get out of the car at White Pass, and my phone goes ding, 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 ding. All of a sudden, I have a signal. I'm getting all these messages, and I looked at my watch, or the time, and it was the exact same time that Kris was last pinged, and I'm standing in the exact same spot where he probably discovered that he had a signal for the first time in a minute. Because he had AT&T also. And that's when he tried to call his dad, who works at the Air Force Base, and didn't have, they block a lot of signals there, so he didn't always have a signal. And he didn't get through. He texted Amber that day, and he called a friend of his out in California. That was on October 12th. We know he did those things. And now I know why, is because when he got right there where I was standing, or at least in the vicinity, he got a signal.
Yeah.
So it was like this flood of
everything.
Just wow. I know what he went. Now I know what he did. So we walked up to it was a small hill up to the, what do they call it? Where the bulletin board. And we saw
like a marquee.
Yeah, well, we saw his bulletin board. He had his flyer on there and some other things about what, law enforcement puts up and whatever, wildlife. And, so we had some of my ex-husband's ashes with us, his dad, Kris's dad's ashes, Mike's ashes with us. And
everybody, I don't think I've talked about this. Kris's dad has since passed away since 2016. He died of cancer.
And very sad. And horrible. And so we had some of his sister wanted me to have some of his ashes to go out there and put with where we knew Kris had last been. And so, Mike and I were still great friends. I have love and admiration for Mike. It wasn't a terrible divorce. We just divorced, and it was amicable the whole time. Kris loved that it was amicable, that we were still friends, and shared the same friends, all that kind of stuff. So I take Mike up there, and Teresa said a beautiful, a little prayer and everything, and we stood in a circle, the ladies, and the PCT went kind of up and behind us, and I took the ashes out and we dumped them, and all of a sudden it was a very still day. Here comes a breeze that took those ashes directly up that trail.
I mean, the only thing I can say is in the hiker community we have a saying, and
bizarre.
A lot of people know this, and you've probably heard hikers say this. It's when things like that happen, it's either a type of trail magic, and we just call it the trail provides.
Oh, it was Kris all the way.
Yeah.
It was Kris and Mike saying it was bizarre. We just couldn't believe it. There wasn't a dry eye, hair standing on the back of your neck, whole situation that he went up that trail in that direction from where I did it, no wind, here it comes. Anyway, and it was, I was just so full of, emotion standing where I knew Kris had stood anyway at the same time of day, and then hear those that all happened while we were standing there. It was just this whole magical thing, and we proceeded to hike up the trail where he went, and there was horses coming down, people on horses coming down, and we get up to where there's a switchback, and they're explaining to me this is exactly how people can get lost, and they're, I don't know any of that, and we stood up there for a while. There was us ladies stood up there for a while, and here came some PCT hikers, and we stopped and talked to them. They all knew about Kris. They wanted their picture taken with me, and we hugged, and I'm so glad they knew about him. And here they were starting their journey, and it was so cool to see them and talk to them. And there's probably 3 or 4 of them, and then another lady comes, and these people are heading northbound. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes somebody coming southbound. And it's a lady that was out there for the search.
Oh, wow.
She is the one that helped train Kris when he was doing his training in Colorado. She was a survivalist. And she came out of the mountains, out of this trail. And they said, hi. And she said, are you Sally? And we're in the middle of the mountains. And I said, why, you make money?
What are we doing?
Yeah. She said, I'm Laura. I'm like, oh my God. We had been speaking on the phone and messaging, and
the trail provides.
And here
I'm
she
telling
comes.
you.
This is all within the same hour. This is Susan. This is all within the same time frame of this happening that day. So it's the most bizarre day ever. And I left there thinking, this was worth $1 million.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Sally? I can't thank you enough. You guys, we're getting ready to party over here at Sally's house. We got people ringing the doorbell. We're out on the deck. We got to continue our drinks. And all I can say is thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Taking a little bit of your time. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. As long as I'm doing this podcast, you have an open floor if there's anything you want to say or information you want to get out there. Same with the Fowler-O'Sullivan Foundation.
Yeah, I'd like to say something about that.
Yes,
please.
Go for it.
So, as I mentioned, that Washington Hikers and Climbers page gave me peace, but I don't think I knew peace until Cathy Tarr founded the Fowler-O'Sullivan Foundation. Now, the same people that contribute to that had approached me a couple years prior to starting a foundation of some sort, and I talked to them and I spent some time with it, but I knew I couldn't give it the time it deserved. I'm still looking for my son, and I'm a full-time employee, and I just knew I couldn't do it. And Cathy was the perfect person. She has taken it to levels that I would have never even thought of because of her experience in hiking as well as in searching. So when they told me what they named it, and that what their mission statement was
assisting families of missing hikers.
I remember her calling me, and I just the word wept. I just wept, and I found this amazing amount of peace that Kris's name is going to live on for something good, and lives are being saved. So it's not all for naught. I know that doesn't sound, it's not a proper sentence, but it's all for naught, and he is, things are changing. And though I think Kris would think that this Facebook group he would think it's just, he would say it's typical Sally, it's just so many people, it's over the top, this is crazy, I can't, why are these people, but I do think I've always said he'd want to be found, he told me, but I think he would love the fact that this foundation is for helping hikers. It's for helping families of hikers to not have to go through what so much uncertainty that I had to go through. It might shave some of that off. I said all along, I wish there was somebody I could call that would organize and do and think and take all these things out for me. I would even pay them. Why isn't there something out there like this? And the ones that came forward had never found anybody, and they all wanted money, and the Fowler-O'Sullivan doesn't want money.
No.
And they just want to help, and they also want to prevent and they want
educate,
to educate hikers, and I love that that's what they want to do. So anyway, I can't say enough about it. It's given me peace. Yes, I probably talk about it more on the Facebook group now than we talk about other things, but that's where this has led. That's where Kris, until we find Kris, that's where this has led to, that it's we're making and for David O'Sullivan as well, and I know his family's honored by it as well. We've spoken, but so honored that they named it after him. So honored that Cathy has done what she's done, and her original board members. I'm now a board member. The original board members are now busy, what I'll call boots on the ground, doing things, and the next round of board members are taking it to the business side of things to make sure it lives on into the future, is what we've decided that it's going to do. And in the meantime, Cathy is relentlessly, this woman, you talk about somebody finding their calling. Her calling is to find missing hikers and help families. And it's amazing. So anyway, I found great peace in the fact that there's something named after my son that is helping families and helping hikers. And silly little tidbit of information, I put up a Christmas tree this year for the first time. Not that I sat around and wallowed at Christmas, but I just hadn't found, from my friends that have lost people, you don't always find that spirit of putting all that up and going through all that hassle. You just want to get through the time and
move
that
on,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I put up a tree this year, and it was right after Cathy told me, I don't know, it's kind of given me a little bit of a mental lift, if you will, and talking about it and seeing the things that the board wants to do, and everybody on that board and everybody that's helping with the foundation. I just want to help. It's amazing. The hiker community is absolutely
we're where it's at.
Phenomenal human beings.
If I do say so
anything
myself.
that has come out of this, the silver lining is meeting or even speaking with people I've never met with, that I have this amazing connection with, that they want to go help find my son or other people they have never met. It's incredible. I can't say that I would be that person here in Ohio if somebody went missing, if I would take a day off work and go it's incredible. It's just incredible to me. And anyway, I love everybody out there that's helped, whether it's just in support or physically boots on the ground or whatever it is. It's amazing. So the hiker community, and what you're doing with your podcast, and thank you. It's amazing. You guys, you've reached out since early on, and I appreciate it. And it's just wonderful meeting you guys today. And I say we do a big cheers.
Yep. All right, you guys. We're going to end it here. We have got our glasses up in the air.
Don't drink out of Sally's
We got
cup.
2 more friends with us. Cheers. Here's to you, Sally.
Here's to you guys.
And you know what?
Here's to Kris.
Here's to Kris.
Where are you,
Cheers.
buddy?
All right.
Call me.
1, 2, 3.
Call me Kris.
Hey, Kris, call me.
All right, guys. I'll be back. Thanks, Sally. Thanks, Terri. After listening to Terri and Sally share their stories of how things unfolded when Kris went missing, it definitely gives me a different perspective as a hiker when it comes to safety, having a plan, and sharing with your loved ones where you will be hiking. Thanks to you both for coming on the show and sharing. And Sally, I really believe with all of my heart one day there will be answers about Kris and he will be brought home. Sally sent me a message after we spoke, and I wanted to share with you what she said. You asked me how I'm doing, and most days I'm okay. I went on to explain what a supportive family I have. I also have amazing supportive friends that allow me to vent or cry or laugh when I need to. I also draw a lot of strength and comfort from Kris's Facebook group. I love their support. Their endless hope of Kris being found really keeps me going. I may not have as much to post on there these days, but whatever gets posted, they are right there saying the perfect things. Most weeks I end the show with telling you where to find the show notes and how to donate to the Hiking Radio Network. You can find all the show notes and pics by going to hikingradionetwork.com. But I would also encourage you to donate to the Fowler-O'Sullivan Foundation. The foundation, partially named after Kris, accepts one-time donations and monthly donations. If you leave a donation to the foundation, please share with them in the comments how you heard about the foundation. It would mean so much to them. Next week, I begin my series of episodes about the John Muir Trail, starting off with JMT Logistics. My hike on the JMT is officially dedicated to Kris Sherpa Fowler, and I will be asking for donations for the foundation for the duration of the series. I hope we can raise more funds to help families of missing hikers. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be safe out there and happy section hiking.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning light. I wonder if you'd wander with me, and I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. You're wondering if I go wandering with you, what kind of trouble we'll get ourselves into. Would it be wrong to tag along with a band of vagabonds? You wonder if I'd wander with you. So I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river. I'm wondering if you'd come wandering my way, if you ever get lost or if the trail leads you astray. The music of the pack can always bring you back. I wonder, can we wander away? And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.